Hello, all you film freaks and movie maniacs out there. My name is Nolan Carr, and I'd like to welcome you to the go-to podcast for all things cinema. But before you can ask any questions, just sit back, relax, as I present to you a Strawlane Studio Productions Critiquing with Carr. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another great edition of the show here on Critiquing with Carr for Memorable Movie Monday. As always, if you've enjoyed episodes such as these ones, do us a favor by subscribing on YouTube, follow us on the audio platforms, click on thumbs up or like buttons so you can tell us you enjoy these episodes, turn on post notifications so you can stay up to date on those platforms when new episodes release, as well as clicking on share out so you can continue to grow the podcast with your friends and family. Also, if you want other ways of staying up to date with the show, do us a favor by following us on Instagram at Critiquing with Carr. I say all that because on this week's interesting edition of Memorable Movie Monday, we're talking about the Charlie Chaplin classic film, The Great Dictator. And with that being said, let's begin. The movie was directed, written, produced, and co-musically directed by Charlie Chaplin, and the cast for this movie is as follows: Charlie Chaplin, Paula Goddard, Jack Oakey, Henry Daniell, Reginald Gardiner, Billy Gilbert, and Maurice Moscovitch. The cinematographers for this film were Carl Struss and Roland Totherow. The movie was co-edited by Willard Nico and Harold Rice. The other co-musical score was Meredith Wilson. The production company for this film was Charles Chaplin Film Corporation. The film was distributed by United Artists. The movie was released on October 15th of 1940 in New York City. The runtime for this movie was 125 minutes. The budget for this movie was $2.2 million. And the box office grand total for this movie was $5 million in rentals. The short list of accolades are as follows. At the New York Film Critics Circle Awards, Charlie Chaplin won for Best Actor. And now it comes time for one of my two favorite parts, which is when I list off the top 10 highest-grossing films for 1940s, The Great Dictator. Coming in at number 10 was A Yank in the RAF. It was distributed by 20th Century Fox. Its worldwide gross was $2.1 million. And it stars Tyrone Power, Betty Grable, and John Sutton. Coming in at number 9 was Caught in the Draft. It was distributed by Paramount Pictures. Its worldwide gross was $2.2 million. And it stars Bob Hope, Dorothy Lamour, and Eddie Brackett. Coming in at number 8 was How Green Was My Valley. It was distributed by 20th Century Fox. Its worldwide gross was $2.4 million. And it stars Walter Pidgeon, Maureen O'Hara, and Donald Crisp. Coming in at number 7 was Louisiana Purchase. It was distributed by Paramount Pictures. Its worldwide gross was $2.75 million. And it stars Bob Hope, Vera Zorina, and Victor Moore. Coming in at number 6 was Ziegfeld Girl. It was distributed by Lowe's Incorporated. Its worldwide gross was $3.1 million, and it stars James Stewart, Judy Garland, and Hedy Lamarr. Coming in at number 5 was Men of Boys Town. It was distributed by Lowe's Incorporated. Its worldwide gross was $3.2 million, and it stars Spencer Tracy, Mickey Rooney, and Bobs Watson. Coming in at number 4 was The Philadelphia Story. It was distributed by Lowe's Incorporated. Its worldwide gross was $3.3 million. It stars Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, and James Stewart. Coming in at number 3 was Honky Tonk. It was distributed by Lowe's Incorporated. Its worldwide gross was $4 million, and it stars Clark Gable, Lana Turner, and Claire Trevor. Coming in at number 2 was They Died with Their Boots On. It was distributed by Warner Bros. Its worldwide gross was $4.1 million, and it stars Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, and Arthur Kennedy. And finally, coming in at number 1 as the highest-grossing film for 1940 was Sergeant York. It was distributed by Warner Bros. Its worldwide gross was $8.3 million, and it stars Gary Cooper, Walter Brennan, and Joan Leslie. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, my review of 1940's The Great Dictator. Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator is a bold political satire that blends slapstick humor with poignant social commentary, showcasing Chaplin's dictatorial skill and comedic genius. While the film hits many of the right notes, particularly in its first half, it does lose steam in the latter part, ultimately leaving a mixed impression. The Great Dictator opens with a memorable scene that immediately sets the tone. While the narrator's voice is grating and detracts from the immersion, once we move into Chaplin's visual gags, the film becomes much more engaging. One of the early highlights is the sequence with the defective shell. As the bomb malfunctions, Chaplin's character comically attempts to check the fuse, with the bomb comically following him in a circular motion. It's a classic piece of Chaplin physical comedy, childish yet undeniably amusing and timed to perfection. Moments like this remind us why Chaplin is so well regarded in the world of comedy. Chaplin's ability to blend such outlandish humor with important political themes is a significant achievement in this movie, and it's apparent early on that his intention is to engage the audience while also making a statement. When we shift to the dictator character Heinkel, the absurdity continues but with a slighter, darker tone. The speech scene early in the film, while a bit long and drawn out, provides a satirical look at the dangerous rhetoric of fascist leaders. Henry Daniell, portraying Garbage, is an excellent addition to the cast. Daniel's reserved yet sinister portrayal fits perfectly into the world Chaplin creates, providing a nice counterbalance to the more over-the-top characters. He's a standout in the supporting cast and plays the role with an air of quiet menace that adds layers to the overall satire, and rank him as my second favorite character in the movie behind Chaplin's barber. Chaplin's role as the barber, rather than Heinkel, is where he truly shines. The barber is a more relatable, human figure amidst the chaos of dictatorship, and Chaplin's performance here resonates more deeply than his portrayal of the dictator. There is something endearing about the humble barber, and Chaplin's physical comedy works best in these moments. The film reaches its emotional climax with the barber's final speech delivered while disguised as Hinkle. This speech is one of the most famous moments in cinematic history, and it effectively conveys Chaplin's plea for peace, compassion, and democracy. It's a stirring monologue that contrasts sharply with the farcical elements of the rest of the movie, and while it was powerful in its own right, the fact that I had lost interest in the story by this point diluted its impact for me personally. However, like life itself, this film had things I didn't enjoy about it. Despite the film's strong opening, the Great Dictator begins to falter in its second half. Once the dictator plays with the balloon Earth, a scene that felt more silly than substantive, I found myself losing interest. It's one of those comedic moments that might have worked better in a different context, but here it felt out of place and unnecessary. Jack Oakey's portrayal of Napolini left much to be desired. His accent was inconsistent, and his character felt less developed compared to others. His interaction with Hinkle, particularly in the scene where they both attempt to raise their barber chairs higher than the others to seem more powerful, was humorous but ultimately fell flat due to Oakey's unconvincing performance as the Italian dictator. The sequence involving the barber and Commander Schultz being captured and sent to a concentration camp dragged on unnecessarily, and by the time we reached the film's climax, I found it hard to stay invested. Lastly, while the film's message is undeniably important and the final speech powerful, I found the build-up to it lacking. It felt like the movie lost its comedic rhythm by this point, making the emotional payoff less effective than it could have been. In conclusion, The Great Dictator stands as my favorite Chaplin film to date, surpassing City Lights in modern times. Chaplin's physical comedy, though more restrained here, was far less grating than his earlier works. While the film's second half doesn't quite live up to its promising start, there's enough brilliance in its satire and performances, particularly from Chaplin as the barber and Daniel as Garbage, to make it an enjoyable experience. However, the movie is not without its flaws, with pacing issues and some lackluster supporting performances detracting from its overall impact. Given its historical significance and the universal message it conveys, I might recommend it to fans of Chaplin or those interested in film history, but I doubt I'd watch it again myself. For that, The Great Dictator earns a mediocre 6 out of 10 on the Diamond Dave scale. With all that being said, my film freaks and cinephiles, as always, if you've enjoyed episodes such as this one, do us a favor by subscribing on YouTube, following the audio platforms, clicking a thumbs up or like buttons can tell us you enjoy these episodes, turning on post notifications so you can stay up to date when episodes release, as well as clicking at share out so you can continue to grow the podcast with your friends and family. Also, if you want other ways of staying up to date in the show, do us a favor by following us on Instagram at Critiquing with Carr. And with that being said, my film freaks and cinephiles, till next time, and happy viewing.